Losing $20 hurts about twice as much as finding $20 feels good. Same amount, same you, wildly different emotional weight. This lopsidedness isn't a personal quirk. It's a hardwired law of the human mind called loss aversion, and it's quietly steering an enormous number of your decisions right now. It's why you hold a losing investment too long, why you stay in the job or the relationship that stopped working, why a sale that says, "Don't miss out," hooks you harder than one that says, "Gain something." The scale in your head is rigged. Losses weigh more than gains, and that hidden imbalance shapes your life more than almost anything else about how you think. Here's a quick way to feel it. I offer you a coin flip. Heads, you lose $100. Tails, you win $100. A perfectly fair bet, and almost everyone refuses it. Now the question psychologists really asked, how much would the winning side have to pay before you take the risk? For most people, the answer is around $200 to $250. In other words, the possible gain has to be roughly double the possible loss before the bet even feels worth it. That ratio, about 2 to 1, is the fingerprint of loss aversion. The threat of losing 100 looms so much larger than the hope of winning 100 that you need twice the reward just to make the fear worth facing. This was pinned down by two psychologists, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, whose work eventually won a Nobel Prize in economics. Remarkable, since neither was an economist. They shattered the old assumption that people are rational calculators who weigh gains and losses evenly. Instead, they showed that we feel losses in a completely different, more intense register than gains. They mapped it into what they called prospect theory, and the core picture is a curve that drops far more steeply on the loss side than it rises on the gain side. The pleasure of getting is real. The pain of losing is simply steeper. And that asymmetry, they showed, bends human decision-making in predictable, sometimes disastrous ways. Why would the mind be built this lopsided? Because for our ancestors, losses and gains were never equal in stakes. Miss a chance at extra food and you're disappointed, but fine. Lose your existing food, your shelter, your standing in the group, and you might not survive the season. The downside of a loss was often death. The upside of a gain was merely nice. In that world, a brain that treated every possible loss as an emergency and every possible gain as optional lived longer and left more descendants. So we inherited an inner alarm that screams at threats and merely murmurs at opportunities. Loss aversion isn't irrational. It's ancient survival logic, still running long after the famines ended. Watch what this does to money. An investor holds a stock that's dropped. Every rational sign says sell and move on. But selling means turning a paper loss into a real, admitted one, and that hurts too much to face. So they hold and hope and often lose more, waiting for the price to climb back just to break even. Meanwhile, they'll happily sell their winners too early, locking in a small gain before it can vanish. Economists have a name for this pattern, the disposition effect, and it's loss aversion in the wild. We ride our losers down and cut our winners short, doing the exact opposite of good investing, all to avoid the sting of a confirmed loss. Now watch how businesses feed on this. The free trial, the 30-day return, the take it home and see, these aren't generosity. Once something is in your hands, it stops being a possible gain and becomes a current possession, and giving it up now registers as a loss. So you keep the subscription, you don't return the couch, you renew the membership you barely use, because canceling feels like losing something you already own. The same trick hides in only 2 left in stock, and sale ends tonight. They're not selling you a gain. They're manufacturing the fear of a loss, because they know that fear pulls far harder on you than any promise of getting something good ever could. There's a strange cousin of loss aversion called the endowment effect. The moment something becomes yours, you value it more, sometimes absurdly more. In one classic study, people given a plain coffee mug demanded about twice as much money to sell it as other people were willing to pay to buy the very same mug. Nothing about the mug changed, only who owned it. Ownership itself inflated the price, because letting go now felt like a loss, and losses get that doubled emotional weight. It's why your own clutter feels precious while an identical item in a store feels like junk. Why you can't part with clothes you never wear. Owning something quietly rewrites its worth in your mind. Here's the eerie part. Loss aversion can make you choose opposite things depending on how a choice is worded, even when the facts are identical. Tell people a surgery has a 90% survival rate, and they'll take it. Tell them it has a 10% death rate, the exact same odds, and they hesitate because now the wording points at a loss. Ground beef labeled 80% lean outsells the same beef labeled 20% fat. Nothing about the reality changed. Only the frame did, gain or loss. And that frame quietly flipped the decision. This is called framing, and it's proof that you're often not responding to the facts at all. You're responding to which side of the scale someone pointed you toward. Loss aversion doesn't just cost money, it costs lives not lived. The steady job you stay in because leaving means losing security, even as it slowly drains you. The relationship you won't end because the years already spent feel like they'd be lost. The dream you won't chase because failing would mean losing your comfortable certainty. In each case, the possible gain, a better job, a truer love, a life that's actually yours, has to be enormous before it can outweigh the sharp, doubled pain of giving up what you already have. So people stay. They cling to the known, not because it's good, but because loss looms larger than hope. The fear of losing what is quietly murders the chance of what could be. Loss aversion has one more trap. It makes you throw good resources after bad. You've spent 3 years on a degree you now hate, sat through half of a terrible film, poured months into a doomed project, and instead of walking away, you double down, because quitting would mean admitting all that time and money is lost. But it's already lost. The past spending is gone no matter what you do next, and continuing only adds fresh losses to old ones. Yet the mind, desperate to avoid feeling the loss, keeps digging. This is the sunk cost fallacy, and it's loss aversion pointed at the past, trapping you in dead ends purely to avoid the pain of calling them dead. So how do you fight a bias this deep? First, name it. When a choice feels dominated by dread of losing, remember your scale is rigged to roughly double the fear. Deliberately correct for it. Ask whether you'd make the same choice if the loss were framed as a gain, or if you didn't already own the thing. Second, reframe your decisions around opportunity, not just protection. What does staying safe actually cost you over 10 years? Third, respect the sunk cost trap. Judge every choice by what happens next, not by what you've already spent, which is gone regardless. And when someone pushes "don't miss out" or "last chance," recognize the machinery. They're pulling the fear lever on purpose. Slow down and weigh the real gain instead of the manufactured loss. Because a mind that feels every loss twice as loudly as every gain is a mind that will, left unchecked, choose safety over growth, holding over letting go, and standing still over stepping forward every single time. Loss aversion kept your ancestors alive, and it still protects you from real disasters. But it also whispers that the thing you have is always worth more than the thing you could become, and that whisper, believed too often, quietly shrinks a life. You can't remove the bias, but you can learn to hear it for what it is, not wisdom, just an old alarm, overweighting the fear of losing. And once you can hear it clearly, you get to decide, for once, whether the risk is actually worth taking after all.